Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to recap Game 10 of the regular season. Astros lose to the Tigers 6-2. And wow. What a game, really. This was hard to watch. Point blank. This was hard to watch. It felt over by the third inning. Like, the Astros, this was probably our worst game of the season to this point. I don't think that's a stretch. It was just hard to watch. It's our third straight loss. After a fantastic start of 6-1, we now fall to 6-4. And that's not bad. That's respectable. But golly, like 3 in a row, that hurts. Especially since I thought tonight was a good chance to, win a game. You were going up against and I say bad in a vacuum, obviously. Any bad MLB pitcher would go to any, softball league in your town or in my town or whoever's town and probably strike out all 9 of them every single time in the game, and they wouldn't touch a single pitch. That's a given. So when I say a bad pitcher, I mean in the vacuum of all other MLB players. A bad pitcher in Casey Maez, who had not won a game to this point in his career, and you make him look like Roger Clemens. How does that happen? How does one of the best lineups in baseball, statistically, leaders in so many categories, like the Astros are, with MVP, former MVP, Jose Altuve, All-Star Michael Brantley, All-Star Alex Bregman, Rookie of the Year, Yordan Alvarez, All-Star in Carlos Correa, a very good hitter in Yuli Gurriel, all of these, and Kyle Tucker, who's an upcoming. How do these players put up nothing against him in 7 innings? How? Explain yourself, Houston. I need answers for this. So, with that out of the way, Zach Greinke got the start tonight, and it was an emotional night for the Astros fans because A.J. Hinch, former Astros manager who was told by MLB to get out of Houston, even though, ironically, the Red Sox manager, who they made the Red Sox fire for a year, they then just rehired. I wish we would have done the same. Because, man, I miss A.J. Hinch so much. He was in the building tonight. So there was a nice little thank you A.J. Hinch moment. That was cool. First inning, let's get it going. First inning, the Tigers would actually load the bases off of 2 walks and a hit. But we got out of it without a score. And I'm like, okay, well, that was a little nerve-wracking. But hey, it's scoreless. Let's keep going. Bottom half of the first, Altuve and Bregman would both draw walks. But the offense wouldn't do anything with those walks, so it's still 0-0. Then in the second, Nunez gets a double, and Grenier, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, gets a home run to make it 2-0 Tigers. In the bottom half of the second, Yuli would get a single, Tucker would get a hit, Straw grounds into a fielder's choice. They choose Tucker, so now it's runners at the corners. Maldonado would strike out. I'm going to talk about Maldonado towards the end of the video. And Altuve would ground out to end the second. So a chance to have offense failed in the third. Greinke almost gets out of it. First 2 outs, easy peasy, no issue. Then Nunez hits a line drive shot to left that was about yay far away from being just a foul ball. But it hit the foul pole, so it's 3-0. And then Akil Baddoo hits a home run. 450 feet to dead center to make it 4-0. Now, if you've been living under a rock for a moment, let me talk about this kid for a second. Because my goodness gracious, Akil Baddoo is just off to an insane start to his MLB career. First pitch of his MLB career after making his MLB debut. The last level he played in was single A. Goes up to the Tigers, hits a home run on the very first pitch of his MLB career. Next game, hits a grand slam. In his third game, he hits a walk-off. And now tonight, he hit a ball 450 feet off of Zach Greinke, who is going to be a Hall of Famer, to dead center. Have a heck of a start to a career, Mr. Baddoo. It's insane. So it's 4-0 after the third. In the bottom half of the third, the Astros would go 1-2-3 and not get anything going. In the fourth, Greinke actually got out of it with almost, with no real trouble. Just a single, but no score. In the bottom half of the fourth, Correa would ground out, Yuli would get a single the other way, Tucker would get one just under the glove of an infielder, Yuli would get over to third, but then Miles Straw grounded into a double play, which I don't know how Miles Straw has grounded into as many double plays as he has this year, since he is Mr. Speedy Boy. In the 5th, Zach Greinke threw a 51-mile-an-hour pitch, which was the highlight of the night to this point. And I think it's really entertaining because whenever Greinke does this, like, I don't want to say how, but I don't understand it. Because, like, you think of a 51-mile-an-hour pitch, like, players, they can make contact and sometimes even get good contact off of 100-mile-an-hour pitches. So you would assume any 50-mile-an-hour pitch would just be obliterated out of the zip code, but it wasn't. It was just taken for a strike. He just sat there like, well, what was that? What was that, Zach? Just took it like nothing, And now Zach Greinke all over Twitter, all on Instagram. MLB posted for him. Pitching Ninja had, I think, like 3 or 4 posts, which is entertaining, because if I were to do that at a tryout, I would be told to leave and that I'm not taking it seriously. Anyway, after that, Baddoo hit another sac fly to make it 5-0. And then a single by Grenier made it 6-0. And finally, Dusty Baker would pull Zach Greinke. Why it took this long, I do not know. And then Luis Garcia came into the game. He would get out of the 5th, and he would cruise the rest of the way. Luis Garcia had a heck of a night. In the bottom half of the 5th, the Astros go 1-2-3. Whoopity-doo. In the 6th, Garcia strikes out the side with a walk thrown in, but another really good inning by Garcia. In the bottom half of the 6th, the Astros would go 1-2-3. Look at that. Big shock. In the 7th, I don't know why I wrote this down. This is exactly my note. The PB&J I just had is easily the highlight of the evening so far. That is a note that I put down that I felt was necessary to throw into this game. That says a lot, eh? Baddoo in the 7th hit a double off of a ball that he thought was a home run, and then Garcia picks up a few more strikeouts and gets out of the 7th. Still only 6-0. Only 6-0. Why is that a phrase that came out of my mouth anyway? In the bottom half of the 7th, Yuli flies out, Tucker would double, Straw grounds out, and Maldonado strikes out. That's a theme this season, isn't it? In the 8th, Garcia, another very good inning, gets out of it. No base runners. Gets out of it cleanly. Fantastic. He's just rolling. In the bottom half of the 8th, Brantley would get us on the board 6-1 with a nice long home run to the second deck and right after a very long at-bat. I think it was upwards of 8 or 9 pitches. It was a long battle for Greinke. In the 9th, Garcia, another fantastic inning. Like, he had an unreal night. I don't know. Probably his best game as a major league player. It was crazy. In the 9th, Correa would lead off with a big shot almost to the train tracks to make it 6-2. Yuli would double. Tucker grounds out, moving Yuli over to third. And that was about it. That was it. The Astros wouldn't be able to do anything else. And it ends 6-2. The final out, I think it was a Straw ground out and then a Maldonado pop out. And that was it. The pitching lines for tonight, before I get into the final thoughts. Pitching lines. Zach Greinke, 4 2/3, 10 hits, which is just crazy to see. 6 runs, 3 home runs, 2 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Rough night for Zach Greinke. And Luis Garcia went 4 1/3 with no runs, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, and 1 walk, which is just crazy. My final thoughts. Yuli Gurriel tonight had 3 hits, which is, impressive. Easily the best offensive player for the evening. All of them were the other way, which is impressive. The Astros have been going the opposite field with incredible regularity this season, which is very encouraging to see. I thought last year we were pulling the ball a lot from what I saw. I don't know the numbers, but from what I can remember, I felt like we pulled the ball a little bit too much for my liking. So seeing him and really all the Astros this season have been going opposite field with, good regularity, which is very encouraging so far this season. And now the other offensive player that I want to talk about in final thoughts. To preface this, I really like Martine Maldonado. I really like him. He was here for, the back half of the 18 season, which was a great season. He was here for the back half of the 19 season, which is one of my favorite Astros seasons. Easily second, almost takes first. I just have so many fond memories of 2019. That was awesome. He was here for last year and was our number 1 catcher and was very good. You might say he was very lucky, and I understand that, but, that was cool. He was here for last year. But my goodness gracious. I don't know how you can look at his numbers this season and not think he needs to be benched. And I understand that you might say, but Weston, his framing and his defense. And I would say it's not worth it. It is not worth it right now for his defense. And I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. So, looking at his statistics, coming into the game, this doesn't count. This isn't accounting for his 0 for 4 performance tonight. But coming into the game, he was slashing a 107 batting average, a 138 on base, and a 107 slugging for a 245 OPS. That's insane. He has, I believe, 3 hits to this point and 1 walk. So that's 4 bases because he does not have an extra base hit. Now remember, OPS plus. This is a statistic I love talking about. It is one of my favorite statistics. 100 is average. Keep that in mind. His OPS plus right now is negative 29 before tonight. And that's just... It's horrifying. Like, it's... If it was 29, that would be awful. But negative 29 right now. That's absurd. And before I get into his advanced stuff, the percentile stats on Baseball Savant, I want to look at his first 10 games last season. Right? First 10 games last season. Batting average, 222, which is better. But the big one was his on base was 400, which is infinitely better. Slugging again, 222 for an OPS of 622. It's 245 right now. And again, last year, he wasn't hitting for extra bases or anything. He was just getting singles. But he was at least getting on base a lot more last year. And this season, he just isn't. He has 1 walk to his name so far. Like, that is just such a sharp decline from one year to the next that it's frightening, really. So, MLB percentile rankings on Baseball Savant. Now, remember, for percentile, you want to be higher. So, if you're in the, say, the first percentile, that is dead last. That is bad. So, let's go through all of them because I want to be fair. All 12 of the percentile rankings. Average exit velocity, 2nd percentile. Maximum exit velocity, 15th. Hard hit percentage, 1st percentile. Expected weighted on base average, 2nd percentile. Expected batting average, 7th percentile. Expected slugging, 2nd percentile. K percentage, 2nd percentile. Walk percentage, 19th percentile. Whiff percentage, 29th percentile. Chase rate, 49th percentile. Sprint speed, 2nd percentile. And the only saving grace is the framing 100th percentile. That is the only saving grace. And at this point, Jason Castro, his framing percentile so far this season is 84th. So, at what point do you just kind of have to say a bit of a decrease in defense is worth it? Because this is one of the worst starts I can ever remember. Not just for the Astros, not just for a catcher, but in baseball history. This is just a nightmare start for Martine Maldonado. It's really scary how bad the first 8 games have been for him so far. And the last player I want to talk about on a better note was Luis Garcia. He was fantastic tonight. Like I said, 4 1/3 inning, 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk and no runs. He was dealing tonight. And you might say, well, Weston, yeah, he was dealing, but it was against the Tigers. And I would say, well, Greinke gave up 6 runs to them, so you know what? I'm gonna call that a win. He looked fantastic. Probably his best major league game since coming up. I don't think that's a stretch. And I can't praise him enough tonight. He was wonderful. He is fighting to stay on the roster. I loved him coming out of the bullpen. Hopefully, with Jake Odorizzi making his start tomorrow, we can maybe transition Luis Garcia to the bullpen full-time. Because, man, this was fantastic for him. So, that's it for the players. The Astros now have lost 3 straight games, which is, troubling. Because last season, we did this. We were hot at some points. We were streaky. And it was just really hard to watch. Tonight was a hard game to watch. This was probably our worst game of the season. And it was just a big old bummer. So that's it for tonight. Tomorrow night, however, on an up note, Jake Odorizzi will make his Astros and his season debut. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping he can, kind of reemerge in that 2019 version of himself with, Brent Strom to help him get back into that. So I'm looking forward to that game. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And as always, even in kind of crappy games like this, go Astros.